Welcome to Property Guide. Now you should remember that our fundamental interest on this show is your investment, your real estate investment. Now how your city is run, what its water supply, electricity supply, quality of life is, impacts your real estate investment. And in our continued endeavor to introduce you to the people who run our cities and plan our urban spaces, this week we're in conversation with Sanjeev Jaiswal, who's the Commissioner of the Thane Municipal Corporation. Sanjeev, thank you so much for making time with us.
My pleasure.
You're an extremely busy man.
No, not at all.
I want to first start by congratulating you on your smart city win. You're in the 98 city shortlist. Tell us right on top what the plan is for Thane going forward. I know the smart city is a massive umbrella that has to include a lot of things, but what is the most path-breaking portion of your plan from your point of view?
See, initially when we were talking about the smart city, it was a very confusing part for the simple reason that there was a lot of talks, discussion that as to what falls in the domain of being a smart city. And obviously we were also a victim of that general discussion. And as a part of it, the initial plan that we had made for the smart city, on the basis of which we got selected in the list of 98, was a very composite plan, sort of a wish list, including sectors like water, sewerage, sanitation, roads, communication, mobility, green cover, environmental issues, transportation, mobility. Sky was the limit. But then subsequently, now that we are going for the phase 2, which is the real competition, whereby the first 20 cities will be selected for year 1 and subsequently 40 and 42 cities are to be selected more. In that context, we realized that if we were to implement our CDP is basically the city development plan, in a refined way and put it as a smart city plan, then maybe it would be another 20 years that we're talking about. Which again is not the ideal way to achieve the status of being a smart city. Hence now, after consultation, after taking inputs from various sectors, we have shortlisted 4 or 5 elements precisely pertaining to infrastructure or pertaining to city, which we shall be focusing upon as a smart city endeavor.
Can you tell me what those 4 or 5 elements are?
The first element is, we are saying, infrastructure, communication and mobility.
Okay.
That's number 1. Number 2 is energy efficiency. Number 3 is pertaining to promoting the greenery, which is already very high in Thane. So we are putting it on the environmental side, promoting Thane as a green city. 4th is, which is a very important aspect for Thane, because we have a lot of illegal developments out here, construction, we have a lot of slums. And as a part of retrofitting and redevelopment, a cluster redevelopment project, the plan has been submitted after all the procedure to the government for approval. And last but not the least, which is the pilot project and the pet project for Thane city, would be the waterfront development project. So these are the 5 main elements which we have shortlisted, and under this there would be subparts.
Okay, let's go one by one, and we start with infrastructure. There is a lot of construction happening in Thane. You have done a fair amount of work with the flyovers, and I know that there's a ring rail on paper right now. When we looked at India on the World Bank's rating of ease of doing business, we didn't do very well as a country. The government, our central government, just released a listing as well state-wise, and Maharashtra didn't do very well either. Tell me, from Thane's point of view, what are you doing to ease business, or the method of doing business in Thane?
See, this so-called ease of doing business, which has been obviously spelled out by our Honorable Prime Minister himself and even the Honorable Chief Minister of the state, to obviously get investment, to ensure that the people who are putting in money or coming to those various sectors find it easy to doing their business. In tow or in line with that, we are also working as a corporation to see to it that the number of applications, the number of permissions, the number or even the time frame that is needed for any permission, whether it pertains to a building plan, that's the main area where the real estate comes to us, or even for other issues whether it pertains to any projects or where our NOC is needed, how we could shorten the period of approval. As a part of it, we have already, as far as the town planning department is concerned, we already have in place our auto DCR, whereby the plans are submitted online, scrutinized online, and maybe in the next 3 to 6 months That is what is the target that we have kept to ourselves, where we will go in for a full online sanction.
A full online sanction. Will that be a
Absolutely.
single window?
It will be a single window for the simple reason that he has to submit the papers, it will be scrutinized, and if there are any queries, that the architect would come and be clarifying on that issues. Obviously, this is subject to the NOCs that they need. Like supposedly it's a big project and there's an environmental clearance, or there's some forest issue, or there is some collector land
Those
issue.
are clearances that come
Those
from the
clearances.
central government, so
Central
they're
government
not
and
in
even
your
maybe the state
jurisdiction.
government as far as the regulatory authorities are concerned.
All right, so we can hold you to this. In 6 months' time, there will be a single window online clearance available for construction.
For the town planning department.
For the
yes.
town
That is
planning
what we are
department.
working on. In fact, we have had a fair round of discussion with CREDAI and MCHI,
Sure.
the regulatory institution which for which takes case to the developers and the real estate people. So they are also associated with us. They are also helping us into it. There are 1-2 models which have been implemented in part in the country, but there are certain issues in it, and we are trying to refine it. And I'm sure that maybe in the next 6 months I would be happy to announce that Thane has started online sanction.
All right, we'll keep a close eye on those the next 6 months. I also want to ask you about job creation. I know there's a lot of action in commercial property, whether it's land or whether it's deals that are being signed in the Thane area, in the Thane Belapur on that road as well. It's very important for Thane to also create jobs within the city to bring people here who are comfortable living here and who don't have to go back into Mumbai every day to work. What are you doing to create jobs?
See, as far as corporation is concerned, to be very honest, employment generation does not fall typically in the domain of our area of service. But yes, indirectly we do have a big role to play. Obviously, it is citizen centric, it is related to the market, it's not something that, it is based ultimately on the demand and the supply issues and what exactly is the need of the city. But in a very generic way, if I were to put it, I would say like this, that fortunately the real estate sector is booming in Thane city. What was initially confined to the confines of the core area of the city has now slowly started expanding, like as you rightly mentioned, on the Thane Belapur road, or whether it is the Thane Ghodbandar road. And these are the areas of the Thane Bhiwandi road, all these areas. These are the areas which are now progressing in terms of projects, in terms of infrastructure, and in terms of development of amenities which are good enough to attract people. Now this leads to definitely a big creation of employment avenues as far as this particular sector is concerned. But the one area of concern which still remains as far as Thane city is concerned, and as a municipal commissioner I feel that this should be addressed at the higher levels, is the issue of the service sector moving in Thane.
Is it true, if I'm not mistaken, that there is IAS commercial space available in Thane that's cheaper than, say, Hinjewadi in Pune?
Comparatively, yes. Comparatively, yes. And to the best of my knowledge, because it's not officially announced, so I can't really be saying it on this show, but a big project is coming up in Thane, which is going to be one of the mega projects and Ashokas for the Thane city, which definitely shall be providing a lot of employment of avenues for employment, both direct and indirect, in the city to Thanekers and people who live in the periphery. But as I said, that let it be announced by the right person at the right time.
Let's talk about infrastructure. And I had several conversations with citizens who live in Thane, who still work in Mumbai. One of the the pain points was the toll, where they sometimes spend between 20 and 40 minutes. The other pain point was the fact that there isn't, every traffic signal tends to be congested. There are citizens who feel that there aren't enough police constables on the road sort of managing traffic in Thane. Are these problems something that's top of mind for you? Are you finding solutions for them?
You raised a very valid point, and I think the concern of the citizen in this regard is absolutely apt and right. And to address to these issues, we are almost on the final stage of approval of a project. There's a consultant based in Delhi, Medulasoft, who's working with us, and they have come out with solutions pertaining to the traffic rules and the signal time that is taken. Now, to give you an example, I think Thane must be the only city which has a signal where the waiting time is 218 seconds. It's 3 minutes plus. Teen Hath Naka. And even prior to that, the Cadbury Naka or the Nitin Naka, which is there. And even if you go further ahead towards the Kopri Bridge, which is obviously, there's the issues of widening of the bridge because it's become very old right now. All these issues are being addressed. I would not say that this will definitely reduce the travel time or the stoppage time on the signals very drastically, but definitely we are talking in terms of reduction of 30 to 35 seconds on these signals which I have mentioned right now.
What is the plan for the reduction and when will that happen?
See, right now, if I were to put this, I think then you would be saying that this is a madhouse status. But Teen Hat Naka, the total combinations of vehicular movement, as per the study, says that there are almost 72 directions in which the vehicle move out there.
Okay.
In one single Naka, in one single chow. So you can imagine the chaos which is there, and supposedly for some reason if there's a breakdown of one individual vehicle or a bigger vehicle, that's it, you had it. Then it's almost 20-25 minutes or half an hour if not more waiting out there. Same is the case for some other nakas also. So basically there are two fronts on which we are working. One is the short-term measures, which I said, if we could regulate by some barricading, by some diversion of traffic on the service road, and maybe on the parallel roads by putting construction the whatever is the missing links. That would be providing a short-term measure.
And the permanent solution?
And the long-term measure is that now this obviously involves a lot of technicalities, but I have just requested a big consultant to give me a project, a plan for if we can have a grade separator which covers all these three nakas and lands beyond that. So that would be something which would be an absolutely long-term solution. But then there are issues of height, there are issues of cross traffic, there are issues of wings to be given on the LVS road or on the MG road and the Pokhran road 1 and 2. These are the four major networks across Thane apart from the Ghodbunder road.
Sanjeev, before we went into break, you were talking about all of the road-based infrastructure that you're looking at. I also want to ask you about the ring rail, which was something that Thane has been talking about for a while now. But before we go any further, quickly tell me what else you're working on in infrastructure.
See, as far as the infrastructure is concerned, apart from what I already said, in a nutshell, I would just sum up. There is one concept of missing link in the DP roads. Roads have been executed, but then there are missing links in it, and that's the reason the one as to why the connectivity is still a concern. This we are taking up in a major way, and this is going to be done through developers or the landowners, and the media of payment would be construction TDR. We have identified roads, and almost to the tune of phase 1, 400 crores worth roads will be taking up on this missing link. Secondly is that a lot of FOBs have been planned for the cities, foot-over bridges. Foot-over bridges have been planned for the city. Already now some works are on execution as far as the Ghodbunder road is concerned. In fact, when you enter Thane city, you must have seen one. Yes. But other FOBs are also planned for the city. Third is, which is a very important element for Thane, is the railway station. And as far as Thane East is concerned, we have already got a status phase 1. Now the phase 2 that we will be putting up under Amrut, which is station area traffic improvement system or scheme. Kopri Bridge, which I mentioned to you initially in the course of the discussion of the traffic, is one major bottleneck when it comes to the traffic moving out from Thane to Mumbai across the expressway. And luckily, after a lot of pursuance by all the local representatives, Honorable Chief Minister has agreed to get that work executed through MMRDA. That would be a 100 crore project, and I think they are on the process of issuing the tender and calling for the EOI. This apart, there is a project which we are talking on the foothills of the Yor Hills, which is basically as an endeavor to promote ecotourism out there. But there are certain clearance issues. And then there is a dream project as far as Thane is concerned for UTWT, that is conversion of the existing roads to concrete roads, cement roads, a project of around 2,400 crores odd, but obviously that would be needing a lot of funding, and we are in the process of seeing that we get some finances.
The other thing I want to very quickly ask you, because you mentioned environment clearances so many times with a little frown on your face, we also know that for builders constructing in Thane, that tends to be a bit of a problem. Are you working with the Environment Ministry right now, both state and central, to say that, if this is the city development plan, can we tie in the city development plan somehow or the other with the environment clearance, which means that if I've, in my development plan, earmarked this for residential property, then that's residential property, right?
See, there are two issues. There's a specific problem which is there for a city like Thane or some other cities in the MMR area. We fall under the CRZ area. And CRZ is an act on its own. It has its own regulations. So obviously any project which is coming up in the CRZ area or which needs CRZ clearance has to follow the due process which is spelled out. I don't want to elaborate on that because it's known.
Because it's elaborate.
Because it's elaborate and quite cumbersome. Second aspect is pertaining to, as per the rules that we have in the state, is pertaining to projects above a certain size.
Sure.
They need environmental clearance. but that is at the state government level. There's a committee which approves that. That the state government is also working on it to see to it that how the process of approval, grant of approval can be streamlined so that it's fast. And I do realize that yes, these are issues which are somehow not giving the city the full potential to realize what it can do. But maybe with the joint endeavour of the Honourable Chief Minister, and luckily the Environmental Minister happens to be from Maharashtra, they are working on it. I hope they will streamline it and maybe solutions will be worked out.
Let's talk about water. A lot of citizens mentioned water supply, especially this year has been a challenge. You just conducted a water audit to see if transmission of water is actually at its most efficient in Thane. What have you found from that audit?
See, the water audit that we have conducted right now was at a very preliminary level. And so that's the reason why we are going to the GB, next GB we are going with this proposal saying that we will be conducting a total water audit, we will be calling an EOI for that, which would be installation of flow meters from the source to the WTP, that is the water treatment plant, from the WTP to the MBR, which is the master balance reservoir, and from the MBR to the concerned ESR or the GSR, which is the storage reservoirs.
Sure.
This would be SCADA based with meters installed at all these places so that you exactly come to assess what is your leakages in the distribution network from the source to all these points that I mentioned of. We are also working as far as water audit is concerned. We are also parallel to that. We are working now again. We are going to the GB for approval for that. Is what I would say falls in the domain of energy audit.
Sure.
This is pertaining to water sector. The pumps that are being used right now are outdated, it's old, so obviously the consumption charges of electricity are very high, obviously the efficiency has come down. So this will be a project which will be implemented on a PPP model whereby we select a vendor and it's an O&M contract for 7 years with the capex, whereby he replaces the pump and maintains the pump. So definitely, and the costing will be borne by the energy saving that we have. So these are two elements in the water sector that we
when will you be done with the
audit? We are coming
or?
with this proposal in the next GB. Okay. I need the approval of the general body for these projects because obviously it costs and it's a PPP model that I'm talking about. Third is, though not directly related to it, but obviously it's related to water per se. Luckily I was Municipal Commissioner in Nagpur and I was lucky enough to be the signatory to the 24/7 water supply scheme which was implemented in Nagpur city, the first of its kind in the country. We are also now working for trying to see that what we can do for 24/7 water supply, but we have divided into components: energy audit, water audit, then recycle of water, and most importantly remodeling of the distribution network in two sectors apart from the one sector which was already approved in the JNURM.
In fact, since you mentioned energy, I mean, Thane still is a bit of a poorer cousin who has power cuts during the summer to Mumbai, who has no power cuts at all. Is there a plan for the energy supply through the coming summer, or do you foresee citizens having to live through power cuts again?
To be honest, this is a department which is not directly under me. It is under the state energy, like MSEB. But yeah, power cuts.
But I mean, part of the smart city plan will have to include 24/7.
So again, like now we are trying to promote the cause of energy efficiency. As I said, that is one of the components on the smart city that we have, energy efficiency. As a part of it, as far as the corporation is concerned, now we are floating an ESCO model, which again we were lucky. We just got awarded by a Scotch Award recently for this.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you. And that tender, that UI will be floated, whereby basically is a conversion of the existing sodium vapor lights to LED with the desired lux level that is needed. That apart, Thane city, as far as the renewable energy is concerned and corporation is concerned, we have done a lot of work in this regards, whether it is the solar power and rooftop installations or even energy saving units. But right now I'm in talk with an agency with whom we are trying to see if we can come up with a very unique project, namely a solar park in Thane city. We have a land which we have identified. I will just need the consent of my body, and if that comes through, what we are talking about is maybe a dedicated 5 acre or 7 acres land where we will be having a solar park where will be solar panels. That apart, yes, MSCB is also, it's not my department, they are also working on this as to how the pilferage losses, the L&T losses can be reduced so that as far as the power cut issues are concerned are taken care of. Let's hope we have a next summer without power cuts.
All right. I also have one very quick question for you. Thane has the ability to provide affordable housing far greater ability to provide affordable housing over Mumbai because of the availability of land. Is this something that you're sort of encouraging real estate builders who are functioning out of Thane to consider? Because given the kind of redevelopment you're looking at, the slum rehabilitation you're going to have to also do, this is something that you possibly also will be focusing on.
See, Thane, initially the rental housing scheme which was announced in 2008 was applicable to Thane also, which had an extra FSI for the redevelopment projects. Later on, there were certain issues which were raised in the Honorable High Court, and there were certain observations. But subsequently, in 2004, the government of Maharashtra came up with this affordable housing, which was for enhanced FSI. So that's already going on in the city. But as I mentioned, that one of the aspects which we have kept in smart city, and we have really gone a lot ahead in that. In fact, Thane is the only corporation in the MMR area, not only in the MMR area, in the whole of the state, which has got its cluster impact assessment report done and submitted to the government. It's at the final stage, and if this cluster redevelopment scheme gets approved, take my words when I say that the face of Thane would change, because it would provide an opportunity for the illegal buildings and for the unplanned buildings or the slums which are already placed scattered throughout the city, a forum of a legal redevelopment. The scheme envisages twice the FSI of the existing consumed FSI, or 4, whichever is higher, and the in situ cap which has been put is 4. Maybe I can explain the scheme sometime later, 3 months later, when we meet with maybe the fact that it has been approved. Let's hope so.
All right, I'm being told we've run out of time on this interview. Sanjeev, thank you so much for spending time with us. I do know that you have invited opinions from citizens who want to reach out to you, who want to contribute to the Smart City project. Tell us how they can get in touch.
We have already put this in the press. We have given the press notes. It's on our website. We have opened up a special portal in that regard, whereby people can put in their suggestions as to what they feel should be the inputs to be incorporated. That apart, through Facebook and Twitter is there, but I'm not very active on it, so I would not really be commenting on that. We are also having ward consultations, and now we are starting this Dropbox system, whereby we'll be having Dropbox across the city, where people can just put in a chit or a paper saying, ultimately it's Thanekers' responsibility to be a part of the city. We are just a mean to deliver. It's their city, and I'm sure that they would definitely respond to our appeal.
All right. So my email ID and Twitter handle are on the screen right now as well. If you have a question for Sanjeev, either as a citizen of Thane or as an investor who wants to buy a home here, feel free to get in touch with us, and you will come back on the show and answer those questions.
Absolutely. 3 months from now.
It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for watching.